I'm Lars, welcome back to my workshop. We're going to get these pieces of metal here primed and painted in this video. This is probably going to take me a couple days to get it done. The metal has to be at least 50 degrees in order to paint it. That's according to Rust-Oleum Stops Rust here, okay? This is the clean metal primer. It says use on bare, painted, or lightly rusted metal. So this is pretty clean. But it says that the metal has to be 50 degrees. Being that I'm in the state of Ohio, it does, at this time of the year, in the mornings it's pretty cold. So I just wanted to make sure I got this up to temperature. I think it's like 70 degrees here right now in the afternoon. So first thing you need to do is you need to take some 120 sandpaper and go over the smoother of the steel. The hot rolled is going to be a little rougher. I'm not really super concerned with that, but I will at least wipe it down and make sure that it's clean. So the first thing, sandpaper. Got to go over it with some sandpaper. Got to get some etching on it in order for the primer to adhere to it. The next thing, I got to get some paint thinner out here, and I got to wipe this thing down to make sure there's no oil residue or anything like that on it. I don't know if that would be a problem, but I just want to make sure that it's clean. So I'm going to get the sanding on here, and then we'll get the paint thinner out here. Okay, so let's start looking at the paint or the primer. Need to get this shaken up really good, shook up, whatever. Alright, now never had so much problem getting the lid off. Alright, get the lid off. I want to set it someplace where I'm not going to get rocks and stuff in it. Now, if you take a little nail and you go around where the lid goes in, you pry little holes in here. When you pour out, I usually put them about 1 inch apart. So when you pour out the paint, yeah, it's going to get up into the little crevice and stuff, but you're not going to get it inside of the lid. When you seal it down, it will actually push that paint right back down in these holes. I'm trying to put a thin coat on. I'd like a good coat, but putting the thin coat on, I can always put another layer on top, or even a third layer if I need. The trick to it is when you put the thin coat on, the entire layer of paint you want to be able to dry, and then you can put the next layer on, and you build them up over, you know, layers. It gives you a better adhesion. Okay, it's been a couple hours. I know the can said it's going to take a lot longer to dry. It is not 100% dry, all right? But it's got a, I don't know, it's not coming off when you touch it, but I don't know how to explain this, but you can kind of tell just by touching it that it's probably not dry completely through. But I think a lot of that has to do with there's a little bit of a breeze out here today. And with the breeze, it's kind of created like a shell on it, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm just going to go and get the rest of the stuff painted that I didn't get painted before. And then we'll let it fully cure. But being that I'd like to get this table saw done, get the fence on it and everything, I don't think it's too bad of an idea. We'll just see what happens. It's been about 4 hours since primed this steel, so now it's pretty dry. I'm putting these little holes in here. If you didn't hear me last time, it helps when you put the lid on to drain the paint back into the can. Otherwise it just keeps running around the can. So this here gives it some place to go as you're pushing it around the rim of the can with a rag. Something that they taught us back in the 70s, and I've always used it, and it's always worked. I've never had to pry a paint can off, lid off, because it was stuck to the can, because you always can get the paint out of it, or most of the paint, I should say. So this is what I do. So now that we got a bunch of holes in that, we wipe the paint off my hand, and we can get started on this. I'm just going to use an old mushroom container here, and that's probably way too much paint, but that's okay because I got to put two coats on here. I need to get it off the side of the can. This has been probably sitting outside of my barn here for, I don't know, about 5 hours, 6 hours. And it's pretty dry. I did take a bit of 180 and kind of went over it a little bit. You might see some silver here, just where the paint had built up. I'm not doing a full paint on these tonight. What I am doing is painting what I can. So I'm not doing a full paint on these tonight, but I am painting what I can. Hopefully this will come out looking pretty nice. As I can see right now, I'm getting all kinds of blurbies on here, which is not good. So this is a nice color. And the thing is, you want to put this on, very thin as you can get it. And then come back later with another coat. A lot like doing drywall mud. You put a thin coat on, you come back later, and you put a little thicker coat on, and you just keep on doing that until you get to the thickness that you want. So, like I said, that's what we're going to do here. Almost stuck my rag in the paint, and try to keep the little burrs and stuff off of it so I don't have to do as much sanding in between. So this is looking pretty good right now. This is Rust-Oleum rust-free paint. Stop rust paint, not rust-free. Hope it's rust-free. I believe it is an oil-based paint, but when you're painting metal, you don't have a lot of choices in the matter. Metal has to be at least 50 degrees temperature in order to paint. Sometimes even the hotter the better. When you work at automotive manufacturing plants, they usually have heaters that are coming out. Like once a car hood or doors or whatever get painted, they set under a heater. Not like a heater like you would say, it's like a bright light, like a chicken coop light, and that cures the paint quick. I don't think we're talking about curing the paint, keeping us at 50 degrees. I think it's just, is it going to adhere to, you know, is the paint going to adhere to the metal if it's below 50 degrees Fahrenheit? So keep that in mind when you're painting. Yeah, there's some spots on here that are still coming through silver, and I'm okay with that because the second time that I paint this, with at least the second coat, those will get covered up. So, but I'm just trying to keep this really thin at the moment, and I can see it's starting to become tacky, but I'd rather have it tacky and keep working it through than to have something that is blobbing up all over the place. So I'm just going over it a couple more times here. Oops. Same roll as before. This roller is the one that had the primer on it. I'll put this back in the freezer just in case I need to do something with this in a week or two. This contraption will go into a bag like this, get folded up, you know, tied up and everything, and it will go into the freezer also for tomorrow when I come back out and finish painting these, once it gets warm enough. Again, it's been pretty cold here in Ohio in the mornings, so if it's not warm outside, we can't paint. So thanks for watching, and we'll get back to this later. Here we are, next day of painting. I said right now we're in the fall of Ohio, so 55 degrees in the morning, 50 degrees. It's pretty serious stuff. This just came out of the freezer. As you can tell, it's kind of stuck. It'll defrost, and so while it's defrosting, we'll set this down here. It's already defrosting on my gloves. This is a drywall sanding screen. This is really good. Instead of using sandpaper, sandpaper will actually cut into the paint, but this here will take the burrs off from the nap, or you know, whatever. You'll see them if you do any painting. But this will just take the burrs off. I find this really useful instead of sandpaper, because otherwise you get these lines through it. I'm not really looking for lines and scratching it up real good, but it will definitely take the burrs off. And when you're done, you can kind of tap them a little bit, you know, run them over something, and it'll clean up better. All right, so let's get this second coat on. Now this is only the second coat on half of the bar and half of the angle iron back here. The edge, there it is. So the other half of this has not been painted yet, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not successfully though, but it'll probably get painted tomorrow. The first step of painting it will probably be tomorrow. So I don't really have a choice, because you got to let the metal get up to at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And like I said, it's fall here, so in order to get it that hot, it's really got to get to like 70 degrees here. Or 70 plus degrees here during the day to get and then get this out in the sunshine and everything else. But being that it's the fall in Ohio, not a lot of sunlight in the very early morning, at least not where my barn is. So let's get this painted, second coat. These coats should be pretty thin, so it might need a third coat even just to get, get everything covered really well. But I'd rather have them going on really thin instead of the real thick blobby coats. But, we'll see what happens. Hopefully this will be the last coat. A lot of hoping in there. A lot of hoping in life right now. Got a couple little spots there. It's like didn't get a really good coating on. I'm going to touch up here. There's a couple down there. And then I'm just going to flip it over and get the other side started. This should be the last painting that I do, hopefully. There's a lot of paint in here. I'm going to finish tapping this one here off. Like that. And this one becomes really silver inside. This one has a lot of paint in it. I don't know if you can see it real well or not. I can see it from here. So cleaning this out is very important to me. It might not be important to you. You might think, well, the screws can just clean it out. But now it's cleaned out. Now I can put a screw in there really, really easily. Okay? So that's just, like I said, that's something that I do. I pay very, very close attention to all details when I'm doing things. With the countersink, you can see there's paint in here. You could take your hand and just take the countersink and grind it out like that. And clear, you see the yellow is gone. Or you could take your drill, put it in it, spin it around it, and get it cleaned out. Either way that you want to do this is fine. Putting the bar back on, finally, for the very last time, I hope. So the first thing we have to put on here is all the Allen screws to make sure that it's connected. The angle iron in the back is not secured yet. It's not tight so that I can raise it up to the proper height. Here I'm tightening the bolts on the back of the screws on the angle iron. Some of them did slip a little bit. I had to use a flathead screwdriver just to get them to get started. Once they were started, they tightened up real quick. As you can see, the bars, the wooden 2x4s are at each end and suspending the bar at 13/16 from the top of the table. This is important. Once that's all secured and taken down, then we're ready to go. As you can see, the Biesemeyer rail system is done. Here's the fence. Rails on. I do like the yellow. The whole table's done. I still have some end tables to build out here. Not sure what I'm going to do with those yet. Really enjoyed that making the build, and I'm glad you guys came along for the trip. If you liked the video, click like. Please subscribe to the channel and click the little alert button if you want to see more videos like this. Have a good day.